We are talking 203Ks.
Okay, picture this. It is, I don't know, 11:30 at night. You're in bed, your phone's lighting up the whole room, and you're just doom scrolling real estate listings. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the houses you can afford, and they're, let's say cozy.
Cozy is a nice word for it. Usually means you can make toast while you're still in the shower.
Exactly. But then you see it. The one. It's in that neighborhood. The one with the big trees, the good schools. You know the one.
Right, where a garage costs more than a car.
100%. But this house, this one's actually in your price range.
Okay, I know where this is going. The price is right because it's missing a roof,
Yeah.
or it has a family of raccoons as current tenants.
It's the classic worst house on the best street, the diamond in the rough, and your brain just, it kicks into overdrive. You're already picturing it, knocking down walls, putting in that farmhouse sink.
And then reality just comes crashing down.
Like a ton of bricks. Because how do you pay for the house and the, 50, 60, 100 grand in work it needs all at once?
Well, you don't. And traditional banks, they hate those properties. They see a house without a working kitchen and they just run the other way. Too much risk.
Which brings us to today's deep dive. We are talking about the FHA 203K loan. People call it the fixer-upper loan. But based on our research from the official HUD site to some really frank interviews with industry vets, it is so much more than that.
It is. It's the tool that solves that exact problem.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is a really big but, it comes with a very, very thick instruction manual.
So that's our mission. We're going to break down how it's supposed to work, according to the government. Then we're diving into the real world, the horror stories, the wins, and the team you have to build to survive it.
And that's the key, right?
Yeah.
The guidelines tell you the rules of the game. The stories from the trenches tell you how to win it.
Okay, let's start with the basics. What even is a 203K? It sounds like a part number for a spaceship.
It does, a little bit. It's actually just Section 203K of the National Housing Act. At its core, it lets you borrow money for the house and the repairs all in one single mortgage.
So one loan, one closing, not two separate things.
Correct. You're not getting a mortgage and then, putting 50 grand on a credit card for the kitchen. It's all baked into one long-term loan.
Now, digging through the HUD documents, I saw there are two different versions of this, two flavors.
That's right. And picking the wrong one is like the very first mistake people make. So first up is the limited 203K.
Limited. Sounds limited.
It is. Think of it as the one for cosmetic work, non-structural stuff. The sources listed things like painting, new carpets, redoing a kitchen, as long as you're not moving walls.
I'm making it pretty.
Making it pretty or just making it livable.
Yeah.
And there's a dollar limit. And the documents say you can finance up to $75,000 for those kinds of repairs.
Okay, 75K is not nothing, but in some cities that's maybe a bathroom.
Exactly. Which is why if you're planning on doing the heavy lifting, like blowing out a wall or adding a whole new room, you need to graduate to the standard 203K.
The big one.
The big one. This is for your major structural changes. The only rule is the rehab has to cost at least $5,000, and the total loan, of course, has to fall into the FHA limits for your area.
What I found interesting, though, is the why behind it. HUD isn't just doing this to be nice to people who watch renovation shows.
No, not at all. It's a strategy. They say it helps revitalize neighborhoods and strengthen the housing stock. Every time someone uses a 203K, they're basically taking a problem property off the market and making it valuable again.
It's like a grassroots urban renewal. Instead of a giant developer, it's just family by family, house by house.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, so the money, this is the confusing part for me. You get the loan, you close on the house. Does the bank just wire you $80,000 and say good luck?
God, no. That would be a complete disaster. The bank needs to know that money is going into the house because the house is their collateral.
So how does it actually work?
It's all done through a system of draws. Think of them as progress payments. The money for the renovation sits in an escrow account you can't touch.
Okay.
Your contractor does a piece of the work, let's say they do all the framing. Then a special consultant comes out, inspects it, signs off, and only then does the lender release the funds for that specific part of the job.
And I love this one detail from the guidelines, the two-party checks.
Yes, that's the key safeguard.
Who are they payable to?
To you, the borrower, and the contractor. So the contractor can't just run off with the check and you can't cash it and go on vacation. You both have to sign. It forces you to look them in the eye and agree that the work is done right.
That's brilliant. It's all about accountability. Which, speaking of, let's talk about the team. Our research from Aaron the House Person had this amazing basketball analogy.
The starting five, yeah, it's perfect.
It just makes so much sense because if one person on your team doesn't know what they're doing on a 203K, the whole thing just falls apart.
The whole thing grinds to a halt. It's not a solo sport.
All right, let's go through the lineup. Position 1, your point guard.
That's your realtor, the #1 draft pick. They can't just find you a house. They have to find you a house that works for this program, one that has enough room in the value to actually make the renovation worth it.
Meaning, if you buy it for $200 and put $100 in, it has to be worth more than $300 when you're done.
Exactly. If they don't get that math, you're sunk before you start.
Okay, next. The shooting guard.
Your loan officer. They're the ones scoring the points, handling the money. A 203K is a mountain of paperwork. If your loan officer has only done 1 or 2, they're going to mess it up. You need a specialist.
Yeah. Then you have this unique role, the small forward.
The HUD consultant. The swing man.
I had never even heard of this before.
This might be the most important person on the team. They're a neutral third party, approved by HUD, who stands between you, the bank, and the contractor.
Why is that so important?
Because everyone else is biased. You want a palace for pennies. The contractor wants to make a profit. The bank just wants security. The consultant's job is to represent the reality of the project. They write the official plan, and they inspect the work. They are the referee.
Got it. Then the power forward.
The contractor. The sledgehammer. But not just any contractor can play this game.
Why not? Building is building, right?
Not really. They have to have the cash flow to buy materials up front because they have to wait to get paid through those draws. And they have to be willing to deal with all the government paperwork. A lot of great contractors just say, no thanks.
And finally, the center.
The title company. Just making sure everything is clean at the closing table so the complex financing doesn't get messed up by an old lien or something.
The big takeaway here is that you're only as strong as your weakest link. If your realtor is great, but your loan officer is clueless, the deal dies.
It happens constantly. And that leads us right into, I think, the biggest hurdle of all. It isn't even the process. It's the mindset. It's expectation versus reality.
Ah, the HGTV effect. It comes up in everything we talk about, but here it feels like especially dangerous.
It's so dangerous. One of the experts we researched said managing expectations is the hardest part of this job, all because of these shows.
I loved that anecdote they shared about the reality TV homeowners, the ones who admitted the work they show on camera is, well, it's basically a movie set.
Right. The quote was that things were held together with super glue and Scotch tape for the big reveal. They'd make a room look pretty, but the plumbing behind the wall was still 100 years old.
Super glue and Scotch tape. And you, the borrower, you're thinking it's going to be this fun 3-week montage, and suddenly you have a palace.
When in real life, contractors get delayed, materials don't show up, permits get stuck, life happens. A renovation is a loud, dusty, stressful construction site, not a TV show.
Okay, so let's get into those real-life problems. We've got these complication case studies, and some of them are just wild.
They're cautionary tales. Let's start with the vague scope of work. This was a story from a consultant who gets called in to fix broken projects.
Fix broken projects. That sounds expensive already.
It is. In this case, the first consultant was lazy. Instead of writing a detailed line-by-line plan, they just copied and pasted the contractor's bid into the official loan documents.
Wait, why is that a problem? The contractor wrote it, so it should be what they're going to...
It's a problem because of what wasn't written down.
Yeah.
The paperwork just said, renovate kitchen, $10,000. The homeowner heard that and thought, custom cabinets, tile backsplash, the works.
Oh, no.
The contractor said, for 10 grand, you get basic cabinets and laminate. They fought, the homeowner fired the contractor, and the project just sat, half finished, for months.
So what's the lesson?
The consultant has to write the scope of work, and it has to be insanely specific. Install 25 square feet of 3x6 white subway tile. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. That piece of paper is your shield.
That's huge. Renovate kitchen means nothing. Okay, next one. The brownstone perfectionist. This was a contractor working on his own house.
You'd think he'd know better. But he admitted he couldn't stop himself. He wasn't treating it like a business. It was emotional. Every time he saw something that wasn't perfect, even if it wasn't in the budget, he'd just fix it.
What happened?
The project went underwater. He spent more than the loan allowed, more than the house was even worth, because he was chasing perfection. The 203K has a contingency fund, but that's for emergencies, not for you to decide you want fancier molding.
Wow. Okay, well, what about the bureaucratic nightmares? I'm looking at this story about a zoning issue.
This was a project where a client wanted to convert a 2-unit building into a 4-unit.
Sounds like a great way to build equity, double your rental income.
It would have been, but the city had to approve the zoning change first. And getting someone from the city planning department on the phone was, well, basically impossible.
So the entire multi-$100,000 loan is just on hold, waiting for a city clerk to answer an email.
Pretty much. And the appraiser is stuck. Are they appraising a 2-unit or a 4-unit? The values are completely different. The lesson there is that bureaucracy can kill a project faster than a bad contractor.
Speaking of, we have to cover the disappearing contractor.
And it's the ultimate horror story. Contractor gives you a good price, takes that first check, and poof, gone. Or they do shoddy work and then just stop answering your calls.
And one of the sources mentioned a rescue case where a new contractor had to come in, but a chunk of the budget was already gone.
That's the absolute worst. The first guy takes $15,000, does maybe $5,000 of bad work you have to tear out, and now you have to finish a $50,000 job with only 35 grand left. The math just breaks.
What happens then?
You, the borrower, have to make up the difference out of your own pocket. The bank isn't giving you more money, which is why vetting your team, your starting 5, is so critical.
But even when everyone's honest, there's this 3-party problem they talked about, getting everyone to agree on the numbers.
Yeah, this is a real brain teaser. You have the contractor, the consultant, and the appraiser. The contractor might bid low to get the job, say, $20,000 for the roof.
Sounds good for the budget.
But then the consultant comes in and says, FHA rules require a different type of shingle and better flashing. That's going to be $30,000 to do it right.
Okay, so the price goes up.
Right. Then the appraiser comes in and says, okay, but even if you spend $30,000 on the roof, it only adds $25,000 in value to the house. All 3 of those numbers have to line up, or the loan doesn't work.
It sounds incredibly delicate, like juggling chainsaws.
It can be. There was one story, though, that was just, I mean, you have to laugh. The guy who tried to do a 203K on a new house while simultaneously refinancing his old house.
With 2 different lenders.
Yes. And one of the lenders didn't even do renovation loans.
That's just asking for pain.
Total recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The advice was simple. Don't do this, one thing at a time.
So after all these nightmares, the paperwork, the ghosting contractors, the zoning, it really begs the question, why? Why would anyone put themselves through this?
Because when it works, it is one of the single most powerful wealth-building tools for an average person.
Generational wealth. I saw that phrase over and over.
It's true. Even the people who went through hell, they almost always say they'd recommend it. Because at the end, you have a home that's perfectly customized for you, and more importantly, you have what's called forced appreciation.
Explain that. What's forced appreciation?
Normal appreciation is passive. You buy a house and you wait for the market to go up. Forced appreciation is when you create the new value yourself through the work.
Give me the numbers.
Okay, you buy the ugly house for $200,000. You use a 203K to put $50,000 into it. Your total investment is $250,000. But because it's now beautiful and updated, the house immediately appraises for, say, $315,000.
You just created $65,000 of equity out of thin air.
Exactly. You're buying a house based on what it will be worth. And in a tight market, that's your secret weapon. You're not bidding against 20 other people for the perfect turnkey house. You're looking at the one with the shag carpet that scares everyone else away.
The shag carpet is the smell of opportunity.
In this case, yes.
But you have to have your hands on the wheel. I remember that quote. This isn't a passive investment.
Not at all. You are the project manager. You have to be there, checking the work, talking to the consultant, managing the process. You can't just sign and disappear.
So if we had to boil this all down for someone who's looking at that fixer-upper on their street right now, what are the final takeaways?
1, know the product. Limited for small stuff, standard for big stuff. Don't mix them up. 2, your team is everything. A good, experienced HUD consultant is your best friend.
And get everything in writing. That scope of work.
It's your Bible. If a contractor promises you something, tell them, great, let's add it to the paperwork. Verbal promises mean nothing.
And last, manage your expectations.
Yeah. It's going to be messy. It's going to be stressful. It will probably take longer than you think.
But you might just get your dream home out of it.
And a whole lot of equity you couldn't get any other way.
I like that. It completely changes how you scroll through those listings. You're not looking for the pretty pictures anymore. You're looking for the ugly ones.
That's where the value is hidden.
It leaves a great question for you to think about. If you could buy a house based on what it will be worth, instead of what it is now, How would that change where you look for a home?
It shifts your mindset from being a consumer to being an investor.
A project that requires a good team and a lot of patience.
A whole lot of patience.
All right, that wraps our deep dive on the 203K loan. Hopefully this helps you navigate all the paperwork and all the plaster dust.
Good luck out there.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.